You've got a literal dictator state and a dictator running the state, essentially, is what you're sharing.
Yes.
And that's frightening to me, especially when they don't seem to have the standards for human atrocities. They seem to have all of these violations. They're locking up people for religious differences. They're spying on their people. I mean, this really is a human rights issue, isn't it?
Well, China is committing crimes against humanity. We know that because they have been putting in concentration camps more than 1 million Uyghurs and Kazakhs in the northwestern part of the country, what the Chinese call Xinjiang, and what the Uyghurs there believe is East Turkestan, a separate republic. We're starting to see these concentration camps in Tibet, in China's southwest, and we shouldn't be surprised that all of these camps will start to show up in other parts of the country as well. In these camps, Uyghurs are being killed. We know that because China is also building crematoria to dispose of the corpses. This is not Third Reich gas chamber killing. This is a sort of a slow attempt to get rid of an ethnic and religious minority. And so this is it's part of their racist hand nationalism. It is ugly, and it is the world's worst crime against humanity at this particular time.
And it's not just religious persecution of Muslims, which is horrific and probably the worst of it, but they're also persecuting Christians. They're also persecuting other minority religions. Isn't that true?
Yes. I mean, they've done that for quite some time, but what we've seen now is an intensification of that campaign, and it's become relentless. And it's not just in Xinjiang and Tibet. It's also in the rest of China as well. Especially over the last couple of years, there's been a marked increase in the campaigns against Christianity, about the destruction of churches, the persecution, and the detention of religious adherents. And this is horrific.
It is. So where are we now? President Trump in my lifetime is the first president that I've seen literally stand up to China, and I've applauded that because the Obama administration, not at all. But where do we stand now in this?
Well, Kevin, I got to tell you, I'm a little bit older than you are. I was born in the Truman administration, so we had Eisenhower stand up to China with John Foster Dulles. But for people who are not quite as aged as I am, your statement is certainly right.
I started with Kennedy, yeah.
This is the first president who has stood up against the Chinese, and this is important because of the things that we've been talking about.
Well, the idea is that most of the American press believes that China is growing about 6.6% per year, that they are inevitably going to be the world's largest economy, and we might as well sit back and build as many friendly relations as we can. And President Trump is fighting a losing battle because they're going to take over the world's economy, and we ought to join them instead of fight them. But where are we really?
None of that is true, and the prediction that China is going to take over, that's also not going to happen. You know, China claimed 6.6% growth in 2018, but in December, a prominent Chinese economist in Beijing created a sensation across China when he said, look, China's going to grow at most 1.67% and might even contract for the year.
Wow.
And that actually was consistent with what we saw in December, January, and February, as well as April. They had a 1-month bump up in March. Because of incredible debt creation. But, you know, China is growing, you know, no one really knows, but maybe 1%, maybe 2% at most. But the most important thing is that they're creating debt 5.5 times faster than nominal gross domestic product, even if you believe their official claims of GDP creation.
Wow.
So, in effect, we're growing faster than they are, and Kevin, we're a bigger economy. Last year, we produced $20.4 trillion of GDP. China claimed $13.82 trillion, and that probably was not right. So, you know, we're a bigger economy. We're growing faster. The gap is getting bigger. I don't believe this whole notion that China inevitably will become the world's largest economy. Not in our lifetimes. Certainly not in mine, not even in yours.